Hi, my name is Efia Owusu-Fofie, and I'm the founding president of Coders Who Travel Incorporated. I also lead the boot camps as a facilitator who brings together experts in my rich network in the mathematical sciences disciplines. Today, I'm going to share one of the lectures by CWT's experts called William Ampe. William is a principal data and technology analyst at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. He's also a PhD candidate. Enjoy. Unlike other boot camps or tutorials that you can find on the internet without Q&A of an actual class, we have representing veterans or former military professionals who joined the session with their questions and answer. The first one is Ashley, the second is Richard, the third is William, and the fourth is Robert. Thank you for watching in advance. If you have any questions, you can follow up with me through these channels and other organization members. Our social media channels are as follows: on LinkedIn, the Coders Who Travel Foundation; on YouTube, Coders Who Give; Instagram, Coders Who Travel; Facebook, Coders Who Travel; X, or formerly Twitter, Coders Who Travel; and our email, info@coderswhotravel.com. Bye for now.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. And welcome to lecture number 7. Our instructor for the day is William Ampe, and you guys have met him, through past meetings with IKEA and on that first day. So William, I will pass it on to you, and maybe we'll give it about another 3-4 minutes to kick things off. Because I think we said 55 is the starting time, but we encourage everyone to come a bit earlier so we can all start on time.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I think we have, I only see Robert and Will.
So, just Robert and Will so far. Okay.
It's the two so far. So maybe, because if they miss the fundamental, it's going to throw us back. So let's let's keep
I'm sure Ashley will show up and, I saw a nice post by her on LinkedIn. Robert, I think you liked it too. So
yes, I saw what she posted. Really nice of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get opportunities like this all the time, especially, at least I just got out of the military service, so I'm still learning what, things are out there for us.
I see. Thanks for sharing.
And then I'm going to take notes here in case. Yeah, so we'll give them a little bit of time.
Yeah, Ashley has joined. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
so
hi,
then.
Everyone. My apologies. I thought it was 3:50. I thought it started at.
No, you're good. It starts at 3:55. We just encourage anyone to join as early as possible, starting at 3:45. So you're good. I don't think you're late.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone.
Hi. Okay. We'll let you settle in quickly, and then we'll just start. So I'll take down some notes. If anything if I'm not able to address any other questions, then I would have something to follow up to, so that in the next class would use that. Okay, so let me put that here. Okay, so as a starting point, just bring up your VS Code, and then you go to the link that you have. If you are provided that points you to the lecture materials, you see a folder called Lecture 7. Okay, so once you get into Lecture 7, you see two things: the images folder and then the IPython notebook file. Okay, we want you to download these two into your local drive. Okay, so once you put it in your local drive, put it anywhere on your local drive, but put it in the VCC project folder, and then you basically will have something that looks like this. Okay, so once you verify that you have these two files, then this you take note of this location. Okay, so you highlight and do Control A, Control C to copy, and then you move this out of the way. Okay, or even you might need it again, so just bring it down, so that if you need it again, you highlight and you can bring it up again. Okay, so I basically will minimize that. So Control C, up it, and then in VS Code, you would see something like this or something different. Then what you do is you click on the file and say open file, not open, sorry, open folder, not open file. Open the folder. So it's more like doing a CD. Okay, so let's say when you open the folder, you are here somewhere, then you can paste. So you highlight Control A, Control V, and you hit enter, and you see only one because you are looking at folders and you not see the file. You do a select, and now you see the file and the folder. I have mine under Git, so it says I've not really checked this in, or I've not added this, but just take note of your color might be different from my color because of your setup. Click on this and it will open up. Okay, and yours will look something similar to that. Okay. Okay, so yours will look, it might also look like this, depending. If it looks like this, with the cursor anywhere in, okay, you hold down the control and you hit enter. Okay, you enable it. You turn it from markdown mode or text mode into, or you can even do that. Okay, you can just click on that checkbox. This means you are in the view. It's a toggle. This is a view mode. If you want to edit the view, then you go this way.
William, I think there's a question in the chat.
In the chat.
Let me see.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's the thing with the two screens that I'm looking somewhere and
Oh, it's in lecture number 7 folder. Can you see the William, folder? Allow me to share my screen so definitely, they can see.
No, I know where it is. I just can't actually get Teams itself to actually open up to
oh my goodness.
Because zipped.
No, it's not zipped. I unpacked it. There was one that was zipped, but I've also unpacked the images. So he's not having trouble accessing it. He knows where it is. What he cannot because actually access it. And I think that's probably a Microsoft issue. Like every now and then we have bugs like that.
Like whole window.
Yeah.
I can't even get that to open right now. I might try to log off.
So you can't open it like this. When you click on it, it doesn't open.
No.
Now, is it possible? Like, do you have an email? If I can email you or?
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. Let me see. William, I think I should have his email.
Okay.
William, I had forwarded the files to myself before the class. So I've just emailed it to you. That was a good call, William.
Okay, cool. So once you have that, then
Can you
just
share your screen again? We are not
sure.
seeing your screen now
Okay.
because I.
Yeah, sorry. That's the thing. I don't use this very often, but yeah, it's always a good time to learn stuff. Okay, cool. So that we have that. And thanks so much. If you are for monitoring this, it would have really escaped me. Yeah. So I'll be counting on you a lot, but I'll also be. Okay. So once everyone is on the same page, just
Put it in the
not,
chat and let us know if you're
right
where William is at. So you download the files from MS Teams and then you connect it to your VS. Is this Studio?
Yeah, VS Code. Yeah,
VS Code
IDE. Right.
Okay, VS Code IDE, and you should have the content you'll be covering for lectures 7 and lectures 8.
Right. So just put it somewhere you can get access to it, and just copy the URL from File Explorer. You minimize it. You go to File, and then open folder. Control K, Control O. Okay, because you want to see all the things in that folder. You paste this there, and you say select folder, and then you will see the two folders. Sorry, a folder and a file. And don't worry about the folder, just concentrate on the file. You click that, and that opens up. And you see the default, for most people, will be in view mode. Otherwise, you just use this check mark. Okay, it toggles between view and edit. And we'll talk about that. What I want you to take note of is as you put your mouse here, you get in two little boxes. One says code, one says markdown. The two are very important. If you are going to run or add a Python code, you see like that. So I try not to memorize. Just put a mouse on it and it will tell you what it is. If you click, you see that you get more than you get if it's a markdown. Okay, if it's a markdown, you see you don't get all the bells and whistles of a code. The idea here is that for a code, you are going to run the code. So it gives you the execute cell button. For markdown, you get the flip. Okay, you get this. Okay, so take note of that. The other bells and whistles, the dangerous one is this guy here. Always let that pop-up text come before you click, because this means that bye-bye and the cell goes. If you're lucky, you can do edit, undo. Okay, if you're not lucky, you can get it back. So Control Z, and then brings it back. Okay, so if I'm here 1+1 and I hit enter, the 2 doesn't mean it has run. It just says I'm on line 2. So if I say A equal 2 + 3, so basically I'm in the TI-81 or the any of those complicated calculators. Okay, if I hit enter, it says you're on line 3. It doesn't mean that this is the answer. Okay, so let's say I change this and I go enter. You see, there's just line numbers. Okay, to really run this, you have to run execute. Okay, and when you execute, it executes. It just says, yeah, I have it. I put it in my head. You didn't tell me anything. You didn't tell me what to do. If you have an executable code before, and if all you have is an executable code, like this naked code, then it will print. Okay, because this buffer here, this output buffer is shared by all the lines. So when you run this, the output will come. If you make a mistake and you throw in another line, okay, that line's output will overwrite the previous line's output. And that's why you don't see anything, because this guy here executed, but you didn't tell it, hey, show me A. So it basically said, yeah, I'm done. Bye-bye. And it cleared off the output from the previous one. To see this output, you have to say, show me A. You can just say, show me A, okay, or print A. And then you get that. If I want this to show, then I better hold on to it, or I better force a print. Okay, the print would flash the output buffer and move down. Okay, to move the cursor for the next output down. So you see 2 lines instead of 1. Okay, like that. Otherwise, you only have 1 line of output. You have 1 buffer for the output. Okay, and this for beginners, even when I was a beginner, it really took me a hard time. I mean, like I'm printing the thing, but it's not coming up. And the fact is that you are really not printing. You are just throwing something into the output buffer and you are not flashing it. You are not moving to the next line. So your output buffer gets erased unless you move to the next line. Okay, cool. So we are here and we turn this on. And this basically talks about what the course is and the day and the time and everything. And then the cool thing with VS Code and other IDEs, which are editors, is that they give you the option to play around. Okay, that's why editing these code editors, getting the right code editor puts you ahead of the game. So if I have a program that someone has passed on to me and I want to test portions of the code, I don't have to go all the way to the end to run it. I can just anywhere here say, hey, you know what, add a code, and it pops it up, and then I can test what portions of the code without having to actually mess up my master code. Okay, so that's the cool thing with the with this editor. Okay, so we go down here and then we go to our plan for today. So our plan for today is you have an editor which is so powerful. It's like an 18-wheeler truck. Now, if you're not using all the power behind it, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, so we're going to see Akuya did a good job by taking us through, but this is going to reinforce it and it will take us to the next level and the next level. Because the more you see and the more you try things out and the more you see others doing things differently, the more it sticks. Okay, so that's what we'll do. And then we'll look at other IDEs or editors. Okay, and then the reason why other editors may come handy in certain situations, and the reason why VS Code is it's the idea of choice for most programs. Okay, we'll look at that. And then we'll look at the fundamentals. If we have covered this in details, we would, however, just pinpoint hit on some stuff, just in case we get completely lost. Then we don't have to go and look at the code. We can just look at the cheat sheet and we'll get there. In VS Code, if you try to click on this, it opens up, but it opens up somewhere. So what you can then do is, if you're not seeing the output, just turn on the edit or double click, okay, and just pull that guy. So this is the guy we're trying to pull. Okay, if you take this and put it in your browser and you hit enter, you're going to get something that looks like this. Let me do that here quickly. You're going to get something that looks like, I can see my mouse. Oh, so it's gone. Okay, there we go. Give me a second. Yeah, computer has been crying the whole night. I haven't run in the whole for 3 weeks now. Okay, so we bring this here. Okay, we bring this here. We do Control V. Hit enter, and it's going to download. And you click on that, and you have that. Okay, so this, if you are completely, I mean, things are going too fast, then you can just come in here. And we've broken the things up in this same form, variables, while loop. The reason I like this is you don't have to read from beginning to end, okay? You can just do Control F and just say list, and it will take you to list, okay? Takes you to the list.
You have a comment from Richard. He says, open straight up to my browser. That's nice.
Good. That means your browser is nicely set up. Some people's browsers are not. In one class, I thought they couldn't really get this to open up, especially in VS Code. Okay, yeah. So that is what we're going to do here. Okay, so all these links, if it's this color. I'm only trying to bring it to your attention. If it's a link, once you put the mouse on it, you'll see that is a hyperlink. Okay, so we look at the PDF file, and then we look at the extended version. The extended version of the PDF file will look like this. It's much more crowded, you know. So when I saw this, I was like, well, you know what, this too much crowded, and so let me get a less crowded version, and then once you feel yourself more comfortable, then you look in the crowded form. But the cheat sheets are the place to go. If you see a code and the code looks too haywire, just look at the documentation or the line of comment, and then the cheat sheet is your place to go. How do I create a list? I come down here and I see that's a list. How do I do this? It's just that this contains more than you need for a beginner to intermediate. I think for beginner to intermediate, this is the place to go. Okay, cool. So so these are two handy things that you have to know where they are. Just like a doctor always keeps a little book in their pocket, and then when they see something that they haven't seen before, they just go there and verify. And that's what these are here for. And then we'll take our 30 minutes quick break, and then we expand on that, and we'll see some cool things in here. In fact, at the end of this lecture, you really have fun. And then in the next coming lectures, we would extend that into reading files, connecting to databases. And my cool thing, what I really like is these libraries. Python has a whole bunch of libraries, but you have to pick your fight. Pick the one that does the best for the job. And then we look at visualization, and then we look at machine learning, and we see how if after this class you want to put on your resume that you at least you've tried things out with Python, then you put your code in a GitHub location that you can then put in your LinkedIn or in your resume, right? In most places, when there's an interview, they say, hey, send me your sample writing if you are going to law or any of those humanities. But in computer science, they'll say, send me a sample of your code. And the best thing to do is to say, hey, I have it and it's here. It's not like I'm going to prepare it, right? It's there. And you can point them right there. You don't have to go home and send it to them. Okay, so that's what we'll do. And then
quick question. You mentioned libraries. Can you explain what libraries are?
Yes, the libraries are primarily, if you go to, and that's a good question, all these programming languages, Python, R, all those languages, people spend a lot of time, and these are smart people who all they do is just sitting down and writing programs. So if you go down here and you just say Python libraries, libraries for data science, libraries for this, library for that. If you see yourself writing things from scratch, you are really hitting yourself in the foot. Everything is in there. Everything is in there. You just have to know where to find it. Okay, so some of these libraries are here, and you see a library like the built-in libraries. These are functions or methods or tools. Libraries are tools. So I want to add two numbers. Okay, I can do 1 + 1, or I can say sum 1, 2. Okay, the sum, which is a function that someone has written, the person documents that and makes that available. And once you document a function and you make it available to the community, they call it a library. Okay, so that's what the library is. Okay, so they have a whole bunch of libraries. Okay, just like your calculator has a whole bunch of intelligence built in it. The Python interpreter and R interpreter and all the interpreters have a whole bunch of smart things built into them. And those smart things are bundled together in the form of libraries. Okay, so you have the matplotlib library, the numpy library if I'm doing numerical computing, the scipy library if I'm doing scientific computing, and then all the other libraries. Okay, so
Rachel says he found stats libraries and
exactly. Yeah.
Rachel, do you have a background in statistics? Is that why you are in heaven?
Okay, so Richard, I think you're on mute. Okay, so that's a good question. So libraries are just bundled pieces of code that does
All
that
right.
does things, right? It does great things to
William,
make
can
your
you copy that URL you went to right now, the libraries,
okay.
and put it in the chat?
Okay, so Python documentation is a place to go, and they have different types of Python, and then you come down here. But okay, so let me share that. So it's basically the Python documentation, and if I can find that, yeah. Here, if I can't find that,
Yeah,
so,
just copy that URL. I think it'll be okay.
and they have a whole bunch of libraries, and then they'll tell you these are the reference libraries. They have the built-in functions. People confuse libraries and functions, but they're the same. Okay, so this is a library. If I want to do the sign, if I want to do a cosine, if I want to convert something to float, how do I do that? This here is a function, and together with other functions, the bundle orders and say, hey, this is a tool that does, let's say, algebra or calculus, and then they call that tool, they give a name to that tool, okay, and that becomes a package primarily. Okay, cool. So that is it. So that's a good question. Now let me move this out of the way. And where was I? Yeah, I think we basically went through the overview, and we are now going down to today's activity. If we don't have any questions, then we go straight to it. So you have VS Code. You open VS Code, and you have this big. Think of it as a pilot dashboard. The dashboard. If you go to the cockpit, it's so complicated that you have two pilots, right? One person looks at thing, one person looks at that. Too many stuff, cool stuff, but you have to know which ones to use in certain situations. The pilot, in fact, doesn't read all the things in the dashboard. He looks at the critical ones. Is my nose down? Is my nose up? Am I flip? Am I down? Is my gas tank full? Those are the critical, and then the engineer also looks at something. The co-pilot looks at something. So UI pilot, you have all these cool gadgets in front of you. There's no way you're going to use all this, but you're going to use some that will make you more productive. One of the ones that makes you more productive is this guy here, is the activity bar. Okay, your activity bar, or these are the 4 or 5 cool or must know areas of the dashboard that you have to pay attention to. Your activity bar is this guy here. Okay, and then you have you normally will see explore. They call it activity bar. Okay, and then you also see your editor group, which is here. Now, they call it the editor group because if I come down here and I say new file, and I create, let's say, example1.py, for Python, then I have that. Okay, so that's why they call it editor group. Because this is one editor, there's another editor. There can be more editors. There can be more. If I create more, I'll get more editors. Okay, so that is it. And then you have your status bar. The status bar, most people don't look at it very often, but you have to know that it's there. You have to know that it's connected to your local server. This is very important. And you also have to know that you are in cell 4 of 31. Okay, that's cell 4 of 31. That's where you are. Okay, that's the cell. Okay, and then what else do we have here? And see, we're going to cell 5. If I go here, I'm cell 4. If I go here, I'm cell 1. Okay, there's a way you can say go to cell. We do that. Like if you go here, you can just say go to cell, and it will take you there. Okay. So we go to cell 5 here again. And what else do we have? We see our status bar. You don't see the status bar, so you have to turn on the status bar. Okay, the status bar would have something that. Oh yeah, this is your status bar. I was talking about this terminal one. Okay.
So William, it's a good point to ask. On your graphic, you have the sidebar and you have the status bar. So the ones you just went over, was that the sidebar or the status bar?
Yes. So we have now, you know, the sidebar. That's a good. The sidebar. They call this, and they have a reason for calling this the sidebar. So the status bar contains the sidebar. Okay, the status bar is the whole bottom part, the blue part, and then part of it is the sidebar. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, part of it is a sidebar, and some of these will not make sense until we start looking into code. Because this has a lot of functionality. You have the gate, you have the code itself, you're checking out the code, but we're not using any of those features because we are not in the workshop. No, you want to see your warnings, you want to see your classes and all that. We're not using this, so we're only interested in just the status bar. We know that the status bar contains some things to the right, some things to the left. Okay, the left one is called the sidebar. So we have the left sidebar and the right sidebar of the status bar. Okay, and then the panel is something you didn't see. To be able to see the panel, you have to go to View and Appearance. Okay, and you see you have the activity bar because we didn't have it on and all that. But if you say the panel, let's say if we can have the panel here. Now we have a panel. Okay. Okay, so this is the panel. The panel does more things. I can go to my terminal. This is like your prompt. If you are a Linux person, you can have you can have different prompts. This is a PowerShell, but if you're a Linux type of guy, then you can have the Git Bash, Ubuntu terminal, R terminal. You know, you can have multiple terminals. So Ubuntu terminal would be like a Linux type terminal. This is running WSL, Windows as they have a term for it. I'll look for it and bring it back. I'm running Ubuntu on my desktop. Okay, so I'm running Linux on my desktop. Okay, this WSL. If you Google WSL, you know it. This is something that came with Windows 10 that you can run Ubuntu on Windows without doing a dual boot. Okay, and you can also have an R. So I basically have Python and R, and that is why VS Code is that magic. You know, I can basically A equal to 3. You know, I can just say A equals to 3 plus 1, and I'm in R right now, and A is 4. Okay, so I can flip between R and Python just on the fly. Okay, cool. And so that takes and then this editor group, we talked about editor group and we talked about everything. Just knowing that you have these cool tools is what matters. Okay, some of these things, you might not need them or you need them later on. Okay, cool. Now let's keep going.
Comments in the chat. And Ashley is also raising her hand. Ashley, you can come off mute. So Richard says he runs Linux on his Chromebook.
Oh, wow.
But not on his Windows. And
cool.
LOL.
Yeah.
And
that's
yes,
cool.
feel free to speak.
Yeah, I was just wondering, William. I feel like it's kind of like Inception, or like with coding within coding. Why would you do code in panel with that option and not in your regular editor?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. That's a good question. So the reason I'll do that is, let's say I'm running a code and the code is bumping. It's telling me that I don't have the library. And the reason is, that's a good point. That's a good point. I was hiding this for the last, but you brought it up. You see here, you see that you have a lot. In your case, you might not have a lot. I have a lot because I don't want to mess up. I want to make sure what the errors you get, I get the same error. So I've created a VS Code environment, a Conda environment. I have my thesis environment. I have other environments. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want my thesis environment to be corrupted with the VS Code environment because it contains a lot. And I don't want you to have more than you need. Okay, so that when my code runs and your code doesn't run, I know that we are in the same environment. And so that is why you would be seeing something like this. Now, once you have this means that you have different environments. So when I'm getting this error in this environment, okay, in this VCC environment, which is what I should have done. See, so now this thing is running using my Conda environment, that has only the code that the VCC students need, or the VCC students have. So now, if I'm getting an error, and I know that my thesis environment doesn't produce an error, then I'll come to the code, section, and say, hey, do I really have this on? So it's a way of me trying to figure out why things are happening the way they are happening. Okay, so that's a good point. That's a really good point. So I'll go to my panel here, okay, and then I'll go to let's say change my thing to a Python. Oh, sorry. So I maximize this. So there we go. Yeah, so I'll basically go to view, go appearance, go to my panel, and the panel is still, and then there's a way you can arrange them. If you go here, you can just say arrange them in a form. I mean, like set them to the default. Normally there should have been a set them to the default. 2 column, 3 column, 2 rows. Let's see. You can basically set it to the default, or you can then figure your way out and shrink this down. I think we are. The time is really biting. So let's go to it, and I'll come back. But that's the question. That's the thing. The reason is that the panel allows me to, or the panel pane allows me to do things that I don't want to mess up my code. Okay, that allows me to isolate what my problem will be. Okay, cool. So now let's keep going on. Okay, so we've gone through all that. We know where they are, and then we come down here. We have VS Code. So then why should we worry about knowing what other editors exist? And you'll find out why. Just like Ashley asked, all these cool IDEs, they all have their strengths. Some can do some can do certain things that others cannot do. To see an extended view of this, if you go down here, okay, these will give you all the list. And this tells you that Python world is a world where I'll say it's like a supersonic flight mode. Okay, you have a bunch of smart CSI programmers who want to make a mark. So someone will say, look, when I was in grad school, I was just using some editor. VS Code is not giving me, so let me create my own editor. Okay, so then editors are all over the place, but you want to pick the one that has a big community behind it and the one that is highly used. Okay, that said, you have to know that there are other editors, so that when you go to a workshop and they say, look, for security reasons, we don't use VS Code, you don't say, well, all I know is VS Code. You just have to know that there are certain editors. And with me, from time to time, what I do is I just look at some of these editors, and then I go and play with it. Some workshop, they won't let you use any editor but PyCharm. That's it, because they say, look, this does what we want. This is being configured to do what we want. This allows me to look at your work remotely, to know exactly what you're doing, allows us to communicate without, so that when you get an error, you don't say, oh, it's because of VS Code. This is a VS Code error, and you go figure it out. We use the same IDE so that we have a technology person or technology group that looks over it, so that when there's an error, it's uniform. Okay, and that's the reason we have all this. VS Code happens to be number 3. It's very popular. Then we have Sublime, Atom, and Jupyter. In fact, when I started using Python, people were swearing by Jupyter. Jupyter Notebook or no notebook. And then comes Jupyter Lab. But the thing with these things are that they are web-based. So if your wireless is acting up, then the fun is gone. And also, some of these things are so heavy that when you install and you look at your directories or you look at the size of your file, this is about 10 times the size of VS Code. VS Code is very light. Okay, so that's the reason. And then Spyder is another powerhouse that most people use. All these things, if you look at them very careful, they have an area where you can look at the files, an area where you do the editing, an area where you do your output. It's mainly like that. Okay, so if you're not seeing any of these in your ID, then it's time you have to switch, because there's a reason for having that. There's a big reason for having that. Okay, any questions before we move on? Okay, cool. Then we are at the breaking point. Wow. We are at the breaking point. Okay, we are almost getting to the breaking point. For your homework, I want you to try go to that website and go to Google Colab. Okay, try Google Colab, try Replit. Okay, they are all they all allow you to just sign on for free, or you can just try it out. I just try it out like that, and then you log in and see how it behaves. And then just tell me whether you still think VS Code is the code of choice or whether you can actually figure out why you think VS Code is the code of choice for most people. This is the Google Colab. Colab is used in most academic institutions, and the reason here is that the professor has a central point that everybody can go to. But if you look at it, it's the same. You have the text portion, okay, and then you have the code portion, and you have a little thing that runs the code, and there's an output. Okay. The only thing to this is you see how long it's taking. If I take the same thing and stick it in VS Code, I'll get the output instantly. Okay. So try these things and then just let me know what you think. And so if I put this here and I hit go, boom, I got my answer. Okay. So that's why you have to know all the capabilities of the code that exists and pick the one that you like. Okay, sure. So we've gone through all these. We've looked at the portions of VS Code. These are these portions that you see here. If you do this, you see the Magic Python. Magic Python is just like an IPython interpreter. It allows you to use this as a calculator. Okay. And remember, when you hit enter, you're not executing. You're saying you just moving to the next line of the blackboard. Think of this as a blackboard. It is only when you hit this that you execute. Okay, so that is your what we call the Magic Python. The Markdown is what we've seen. Markdown allows you to document your work. Okay, so that you don't have, let's say, you don't have a notebook on the side, or you don't have a wet or a text file on the side and a code on the side. So you go to a workshop, someone will say, hey, go and read a README file before you run this code. No, you don't do that. You want to encapsulate your documentation and your code together, unless the documentation is too big, in which case then you would just point. You would just say, hey, go here and read this documentation. And to do that, you just do something like this. Google, like HTTP. Oh, sorry. Let's say we pick one website. Let me pick a quick website here. Okay, like this, pre-class. Let's say we pick this one. Yeah. So let's say you have your documentation sitting somewhere. You just bring it down here. And once you turn it on, it becomes a link that you can click. Okay, and you see what I did. I just put a square, that curly bracket around it, and it makes it into something that you can, there we go. Just put a curly bracket around it. Okay, we'll talk about Markdown as we go down. For now, just know that we have these portions of, we got these portions that you have to be aware of. The Magic Python, the Markdown, we've seen the Markdown, and the Python via the command prompt. So actually, this is where you would want to run the Python through the command prompt. I have mine corrupted, so I'm going to bring my my VS Code. Sorry, I'm going to bring a second version of VS Code, so that I'll show you that here. Okay, because I have my thing corrupted, and I'll have to go figure it out. So I come down here and I go to my view and go to the appearance and go to my panel, and then I can now say to say that you do this one, and you can have any of the shells. Okay, so let's say we have that, and there's a shell, and in here I can just say Python, and I have Python. I can do 1+1, and so actually that's the reason why that is handy. So, and remember, this is called an integrated IDE. They're trying to give you everything so you don't have to take your eyes off this. Okay, you can do everything on the same page. Okay, so that's that. And that takes us through this cool
Actually
thing.
say it's like a digital sketchbook.
Yeah, exactly.
Show your work.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, in fact, VS Code brought in a game changer, and that game changer is called the Python interactive mode. See this. For the Python interactive mode, if you go to your Python code, let's say I have a Python code, I take this code from somewhere, I pasted it, and you have the time to do all this. Don't worry, I'm just running you through this. Okay, so I say a comment. I say, let's say comment 2, and then I have another code. I stick that code in. So let's put this one, Control C, Control V. I went online and picked this code. Okay, so don't worry, I just brought it. It could have been any code. Okay, it could have been, let's say, example 1. Oh, sorry, 1 plus 1. Okay, it could have been just that. If I can type. Okay, because of code completion. CSI students are so lazy that we always want a spell checker. Because we are people don't really you look at code and you see a lot of syntax, so they sort of shorten it. Okay, so I've got this code. This is a Python code. Okay, I can just run everything. Okay, I can highlight and do a right mouse click and just say run selection in, there we go. I can run the selection in interactive window, which I don't see, or you can just hit this one here. Okay, and then it will run, and then it basically saved it and it did what it is, and it gave you the output somehow. Okay, but the guys in Python said, look, you know what, we don't want this. This doesn't do what we want. So we want another way of running this without having to open, and that is called run line. Oh no, I think my went off screen. There's run selection. There we go. Yeah, I made my screen too big, and that's why. The shift enter. So if I run this, then it runs it, and I get an output. They still said, no, we don't want this. We really don't want this. We want to be able to have something next door, or we want to be able to run this inside it. And so you have this thing called the magic. If you've done MATLAB, then you see, immediately I did that. You see what happened? See that again. Pound is comment. I do %, and boom, I get this. So now I have this, which is now a cell, and so I can run the cell. And there we go. I have an output. If the output comes out well, it run the whole thing. If you don't want to run the whole thing, okay, then what you do is you break down your code. Pound %. There's another line. Pound %. And this is a big game changer that most programming languages have not. Most IDEs have not been able to mimic. I have a Python file, but it's behaving like an IPython notebook. Okay, and that is what this guy here is doing. It's called the Python Interactive, and you see it called interactive. So there's a whole lot of things behind this. Don't rush through it. Go through this VS Code thing that I've provided here. Okay, let's go through it quietly. And it has everything. It took me over 2 months to get to where I am by repeatedly going through this VS Code, because it's gazillion. And some of the things you can't just read. You have to read, and then try it, and I write it down somewhere, and I try, then it sticks. Okay, so this contains everything. The VS Code A to Z contains everything. If you go through this, you'll be a VS Code guru. Okay, cool. So we've done that, and we've done all these. Okay, so all I did was in here, in your Explore window. If you're not seeing your Explore window, you go View, layout or not view.
There's Explorer down the editor layout.
Exactly. There's that too. Exactly. Yeah. But some people, yeah, if you go file, you can also do Explorer. But most people will say, and the documentation will say, go down here and explore. Now, explore is a big guy. That's why they brought it here. Otherwise, you have to go here and then do your explore. So let's do explore here, and you have your explore. Okay, so if I want to create a file, boom, right mouse click, new file, and give it a name, example dot. The dot is what determines, and that's why you have a red thing there. You can either go into the raw code. So example, let's say 2.python. That gives you your Python code, and that you just run as a regular Python file. There's no bells and whistles here. Okay, so you just do your test, and then 1 + 1, and 2 + 2. Now, if you want to execute this, then you have to highlight, right mouse click, and say run selection or line in interactive window. It will be a shift enter. Okay, yeah, like that. Sorry, I wanted it to run in here. So you do here and say run in interactive window, shift enter, and there we go. So this here is the interpreter for behind this, because remember this is just a dummy file, right? It's not smart. You have to link it to a smart system, and that smart system is this guy here. Okay, you can also do file new, and then you say example 1.ipynb. Okay, and that says, hey, I want a different type of file, and boom, you get a file that behaves slightly different from the py. People like this, especially if you're in a workshop and you are doing quick prototyping. If I've got a thing working and I've got everything done, then I don't want this. I don't want a user to come and click. So I move this into this, and I give this. I check this into my project folder. Okay, because your project folder should be a Python file and not an IPY notebook, because they'll tell you we are not doing elementary coding. Some people don't like this. Some workshop, your boss will not like this. He's going to like this. Give me the code so that when I go to the terminal, I do source the files up, or write it in a function so that we can put it in our libraries and then we import and run. I don't want to see your code. All I want is tell me what goes in and what comes out. Okay, cool. So you have to know this IPY notebook, experimentation, this production, and this for documentation. Okay, so that has taken us through this. Now, what I want us to do is, in the interest of time, when you get home, just this purple thing here. What it means is, these ones. What I want you to do is, it's called a code along. Okay, code along. I copy this. You created a file, as we did. Okay, we did this file. I want you to just paste that in somewhere. Okay, so let's say I do Control A, delete, Control V, and then I want you to basically run it and tell me what the output, what comes out. Okay, if the codes are not behaving, just change the code, because I intentionally did that. Okay, red means that it's not good, so change that and then run that. Okay, so run it a bit at a time. So let's say you highlight this, right mouse click, you go here, run selection, see what. Don't do what I'm doing now. Right mouse, run it in the run selection interactive window. Yeah. Okay. And then it prints that variable. Okay. If I import OS, you could also do something like this. Control C and bring it here, and Control V. And take note. You see this guy here? He's the same guy we see when we are here. Okay. This is a smart box. This is a non-smart box. There's no engine behind. Okay, if there's an engine, you see this. This has an engine. I see this, so I can run, and I see my list of files. Okay, cool. So I'm running a little fast because I think I went too slow, and I wanted to try all these. Okay, this we went through. If I went through with you, we know what a calculator is. We know modular arithmetic. If for some reason you are scratching your head a little bit, double click, take this, Control C, bring it here, Control V, hit enter, and it's nothing happening. It says I'm waiting. You hit this and it runs. Okay, it's a 0. Now you can use the up arrow. Okay, up arrow will recycle your commands. Okay, down, up will recycle through the commands that you see up there. Change this to a 3. Okay, change it from odd to even and run it. And you see I'm getting 1. So that tells me what the modulus does. Otherwise, take a look at the quiz notes and that will take you through it. We just have to know how to put in numbers in Python. If I want to see the type, okay, I'm trying to figure out. I do a division, I'm getting a 0 instead of a decimal. I can see the type, okay, and this is a float, okay. I can see what the type is by going down here, take out the decimal, and it's a different type. I can go back again and put quotes around it, okay, like this quote, and I'll see the type, okay, it's a string. Okay, so the type helps you determine what the type is. These are just there for you, just as a review. These are variables, these are strings. This is how you assign a string. This is how you subset a string. If it's still a little struggling, you just come down here, take all these like that. Don't just put them in here. Do it a little bit at a time. So you would have a console. You would have like the example.1 file, one of these guys. Just put it in here. Control V. Oh, I did that, but it didn't come. Control C, Control V, even here. Control V, good. And then remember, you can do something like this, pound, %, right? So this will allow you to run the top and the bottom. So I go down here, pound, %. Remember, this session is just to make you productive. So I've got a bunch of code. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to go and bug someone. So I'll just take the code, put pound %, around it, and this will allow me to run this a bit at a time. Okay, so if I get here, I'm not going to run this. Okay, so I'll go down here %, and I'll come down here and I'll run this. So the length is 6. So it's telling me that len is a length. I come down here, I do a pound %. Okay, x0 will give me the first, which is a p. Okay, Python, and then if I want to see what this does, I'll just come here and run this, and this gives me 0 to 3. Remember, Python starts at 0, and whatever the max is, it ends -1 because it's starting at 0. Most languages starts at 1, so 1 to 3 will give me 1, 2, 3. But Python starts at 0, so you're saying give me the third element starting on position 0. I mean, up to 3 elements starting on position 0. Okay, cool. So we've gone through that. So please go through this in the interest of time. Go through this. These are just a review. The only thing we haven't seen so far that I want to bring to your attention is this guy here, the matrix. And someone mentioned, what is a package? So we're going to look at this. Okay, we're going to look at this quickly. We come down here. We're going to put this here. Okay, and we put a pound %. I come down here, delete this. This is a comment. I delete this guys as well. Okay, like that. And then I just want to see what this does. So I put a pound %. This is the first time I've seen that. These ones, starting from here, I've seen this before. Okay, so if I run this, this is just an MP array. MP has not been imported. So who can tell me what has to be done? And this is in line with Ashley's question. I want an array. There's no way I can push something into the memory of Python if Python doesn't understand it. So one of the ways is that I have to put it in as an integer, I have to put it in as an array, I have to put it in as a string. So I'm saying that, hey, you know what? I'm defining an array. So short of me just putting in as a list, I want a physical array. So then I have to use the mp.array. Okay, the mp.array assumes that I've got a package called mp or a library called mp. Okay, so I have to load that. And this is where the library comes handy. So I'm going to the NumPy for numeric computing mp. Okay, and once I do that, import NumPy as. So this says I don't want to always type NumPy because I told you programmers are lazy, so they always have aliases. Okay, so I'd say, hey, you know what? I don't want to keep typing NumPy. I want to type it like N. it's not a smart one because it then is taking something away from me. I cannot use n anywhere in my code. So I can have to call it something. Okay, that would then allow me to use n along the code, but normally people use np. Okay, so if I alias is at np, then I say, hey, go to np, and then you see there's a method or a function called array, such that when I give it a set of numbers, it will give me back an array. How do I know what these things are? I just come down here, Control C, come down here, Control. We know this already, right? We do a type, Control V, Control V. Yeah, I'm rushing because our time. So take this guy, okay? And you want to see what this guy is. So I go down here, and I say, tell me what this guy is. Okay, give me the type of this guy. I run this. Okay, and it's saying, hey, I don't know what this thing is because I didn't do it right. I mean, I was rushing through. So then look at your errors. Look at the errors very well. So the error is telling me that I did something wrong here. So I run this again, and I have a list. But what I want is an array. Okay, so the default method in Python allows you to create basic data types like a list, integers, numbers, strings. They don't provide array, and that is where the library comes handy. So to be able to create an array, I have to import a library that has a method for me to create an array. Okay.
And what is an array? Because I don't remember Ikea covering arrays.
Yes, that's a good point. And that's why we have this. And that's the main reason why I also added this. Because there are a lot of you need to get things into Python somehow. You can either do algebra, you can do calculus, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. Okay. Each of these things take data in different ways. Excel takes data in row column. It's called data frame. Okay, an array it looks like a list, but it has its own characteristics. Okay, so an array is another data type that has certain characteristics that are beneficial, that are more beneficial than a list. Okay, so the answer to your question, I will say just that's why I provided this. You do Control F array. Okay, these are array types. Okay, now an array is just a set of numbers stacked together. A list can be a combination of number and string. Array only takes numbers. In an array, I can't come in here and just say, hey, you know what? This. It's going to say that the data type has to match. Okay, and that's why a list comes. Oh, no, this is a list, so I can do that. A list, I can combine a whole lot of things. Array has to only be one type. It's going to say array of integers, array of string, array. It can't say array of integers, and by the way, there's a string. Okay, so that's what an array is. So please, that's a good question. Please take a look at these guys very often. So you have data you're putting into memory, because if the data doesn't come into memory, your code is useless. The user can't get their data into memory, then whatever you've written, it's very useless, right? So you want to be able to get your code in memory, and one of the ways to get your code in memory is if it's of a type that, or if you've written a code that is able to handle certain things like linear algebra type things, then to do any linear algebra computation, you got to get your data in as a matrix, right? And so you got to get your data in as a matrix so that you can do your matrix computation. Otherwise, your code is useless, right? Okay, so this is one of the things that I have to get my data in as an array for some reason, and so I have to get it in. And one of the ways of getting it in is either writing it out myself or using something that someone has written. And the way to use what someone has written is by that. So if I run this, now I have run it. It says, yes, you are done. What am I missing? I'm missing the fact that I've created it and I'm not looking at it. Okay, I don't have a way of looking at it. So what do I do here? I have to say print, or even just type the name array1, and you would be able to see what that is. There we go. And you see, it says it's an array. It's told me it's an array. So now if I want to see, and then by the way, if you see these 3 dots, you can see more by just clicking on that and changing the presentation, or click and then it will open it up. Now let's see what the type of this is. If I take the type, and I'm going to say the type of array1, okay, what is it going to tell me? Boom, it is NP array. So it was very specific. It's a SciPy array, it's a NumPy array, it's a whatever array. And these things are very nice because NumPy arrays have methods that can only work, have certain methods. SciPy array this other one here, SymP array also has methods that work with. Now let's see how SymP array would work with this. So I have this, okay, copy. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to turn him into another representation. Okay, remember, boom, %. Okay, yeah, that's a big game changer, but that's a really big changer. So I take this guy and I'm going to just turn him into another representation. Okay, because I don't like seeing it like that. I want to see it in another form. So Control C and Control V, and let's run that. Boom. There's no module called SymP, so we'll talk about this because I don't think my current session has this important. Now, if you see this, the way to do that, because remember, I have this and I had it here, but then it flipped on me. So this one here, and actually, you see, that's the reason that you have that. So you can easily flip between your environments. Okay, one environment gave me an error. I flip to another environment, and let's try it again. Control C. We run this here. Control C. Control V. I hit that, and there we go. And it created it. Now let me do that here. Control C. It didn't print because I assigned it. I didn't ask it to print. This time I'm going to ask it to print. And it says this is not defined because a new variable that it's something new that I just created. I just switched my interpreter so that this interpreter doesn't know what I've done. Okay, so I have to go back here and run that. That is what we saw. And then I can go back to my SymP here and run that. And boom. So actually now you tell me, why would I want to use NumPy as against SciPy? The reason is I like this better than that. Because yes. Yeah, because this is what most people in algebra class. Yeah, in algebra class, this is what most people see, right? Especially if I have this guy here. Okay. This guy, I didn't do any magic to it. It's just a NumPy array. Okay, this is just a NumPy array. Let's say we run this. This is a NumPy array. Okay, Control C. I put it here. Enter. I see this. What is this? Well, if I've done some algebra before, I can just say, hey, I know what this is. But see how this would work if I use another library. Okay, if I use another library that someone has written that didn't like this because they are teaching an algebra class to 9th graders and or matrices to 9th graders, and they want to be consistent. So now you see that. So now that SymPy or the SymP, some people call them SymP. Okay, that's SciPy for scientific computing, SymPy for doing these types of algebra. I mean, I won't say algebra, linear algebra, or the matrices multiplication and things like that. Okay, sure. So that is why these libraries, you have to know the libraries, because I see this and you send someone this, of course, this will make more sense to them compared to the top one, especially if you're teaching 9th graders. If you're an instructor teaching 9th graders and you prepare your notes using this type of tools, then your representation has to be consistent. Okay, cool. So we went through that, and we we've gone through all these, right? Conditionals actually went, Acquia went through that. The only thing I wanted to print out here is that you can make your conditions a little more complicated. I have 3 numbers and I want to tell if one number is greater than another number and basically say what's happening. Okay, so that's what this code is doing. I want you to just, when you get home, don't take it with a pinch of salt. Just take it and then take your time and break the code down and see whether you have any difficulty with that. Okay, so these are just there to build off what Acquia has. Tertiary means that you have, you basically have, you're doing more than one condition, right? So I'm doing a condition and another condition on one line, okay? And then input is what I didn't see Acquia do. So that input, what an input does is at times you want your program to be interactive, okay? You want your thing to be interactive, and so
she did show an input where you have that dialog box.
Oh, okay.
At the top, and then you put information in the box.
Oh, good. Then
right.
That speeds up. Cool. So then Acquia did that input. So we keep going down. Okay, so we went through here. The prints, so the print and the display. There's a big difference between print and display. Okay, a print, and so let's try that. And you tell me what you think the two are. So I've got a display, okay? So take Control C, put it either way. I mean, let's say we put it here, Control V, and I'll run that, okay? At the same time, I don't want to run it all together. Oh, let's run it all together. Let's run it all together. So you see that a print basically printed it and left it nicely there. A display displayed it and kept the and kept it as a string, right? So display is saying, you asked me to display a concatenation of strings, and I displayed it and the output in a string form. How do I know it's a string? Because it has a quote around it. Okay, cool. So that's the difference between the two. I use display when I'm displaying a data frame, and we'll see that. And I use print. Prints I normally use when you're doing debugging. Okay, your code is running. All you see is an output. The output doesn't look good, so you put print in so that if it's a certain condition, it prints. If another condition, it prints that. Okay, so Acquia went through all that. We've seen that we have a list. We talk about list. Okay, a list can have. It looks like an array, but the thing with the list is that you can mix and match types. Array, you cannot mix and match types. Okay, and we talk about adding things to an array, slicing a list, unpacking the list, looping through the list. Acquia went through that, adding things to a list, removing items from a list, finding an item in a list. And these are things that you do in a workshop. Okay, you want to see which index. Let's say you have a list of files. You want to see which file contains William, okay, or which file has a name William. And so you say the second file has a William, and that's why you would do something like that. You saw the list because let's say you have a Rolodex. You created a Rolodex of names and you want to sort by first name. So that's how you do that. You can also do a custom sort. The mapping and the list comprehension, the zipping, the tuple. We'll talk about this if it's too much. Otherwise, we'll just go through, because I think Acquia went through this. The dictionary. Okay, a dictionary primarily is what it is. Okay, it is the fact that instead of using an index, you are naming your values. Okay, so instead of just relying on the index, your index now becomes a value. So let's look at what that is here. So a dictionary. So let's say we have this guy. Okay, we have a poem. So Control C, we put it here. Control V. Control V. So this is a point. If I print point, okay, let's see what happened. Now, remember, you can print. I can do this because I don't have anything after it, so I can do the lazy way. Okay, so that's my point. Now, if I want the first item in a point, if it was a list, I would have done point of 0. Okay, and I run that, and if it was a list, I would have gotten it. Now it's not a list. It is something else. So now I have to use a proper index, right? I've got to say the X1 component of point. And there we go. And that's one. Okay, so it allows me to index a list with a name. Okay, if this wasn't a list, if this was something else, okay, a dictionary. If it was a list like that, and this is how you do the list, a square bracket and a square bracket. So these things are, when I was learning Python, this thing took me a long time. You have to look at the little details that comes with it, okay? So the details is that one is a square bracket, one is a curly bracket, okay? And then one has that thing like an alias aspect of it, okay? So if I do that, I have point. Now this time I can do point of 1 or point of 0. Oops. That, and it's an X. Okay. Yeah. So that is the difference between a dictionary and this. Why would someone want to use a dictionary? It depends on the code you're writing. Let's say I have a database with first name, last name, middle name. I don't want to say name of 0. What if the person changed it? I mean, they made it last name, first name, middle. Then I want to be able to, without looking at how the thing was created, I want to be able to just say, hey, give me the index that matches this. Okay, so here I don't have to worry about either X, I don't have to really worry if X was the first or Y was the second. And I don't really have to worry about this. For so long as I know the keys, that X doesn't have to be the first. I can still say, give me the point of that refers to X, and Python will get it. X1. Did I say point? Must be an integer. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't do it as a list. You have to do like a list. You have to do something like this. This was an array. So Y is that, and X is that. Yeah, like that. And then this becomes a list. Yeah, so you have to pay attention to these squiggles. You have to pay attention to these squiggles. X colon, Y colon. Okay, so X colon, Y colon, like that, something like that. Kelly,
oh, you have a curly and a square.
Yeah. And you see, this VS Code also told me, right? I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't preaching what I wasn't going by what I was preaching. Always look at it. VS Code will alert you. Okay? Red means danger. So I do that, and I run this, and now I can recycle and get my item. Boom. Okay, cool. So that is what these things are. The data types are very, very important because you have to get things into the memory of R to be able to do, of Python to be able to do anything meaningful. Okay, now we're going to do this other one here, and then we will get to our break. So now we have one thing called data frame. Okay, a data frame is, you think of it, we are now, all we're doing is just like 1D type data or variables, right? You get to a point where the data, the real world data, is a multi-dimensional or even unstructured, okay, like a JSON file. This is like an Excel file. If you work with Excel, row, column names and that. In Python, when you have something that looks like this, it's called a data frame. Okay, it's a frame of data, or data that has been framed. It's framed by the rows and the column. Okay, so the data and it's being framed by the rows and the column. And that's what the data frame counts. And guess what? To be able to use this type of data frame, you need another library, because this didn't come. We don't have Excel built into Python, right? So then, of course, we will have to load another package. And that package is called pandas. Okay, so the pandas is mainly for data frames, and that's all it does. So this guy sat down and said, hey, you know what? I've been struggling with this, and I'm going to make it more efficient. So then he wrote this package, and all it does is just take data frame, play with data frame. That's all it does. So he's perfected it. It doesn't do anything beyond that. All it does is just data frames. Let's see how data frames is. If you look at this, a data frame, you see that he said, well, we could have, let's use some of the data types that we already have. We have dictionary, we have lists, and then we have other forms. So I've got a dictionary, which is a data, and I take this dictionary, okay? I've got this dictionary, which is just nothing but data, okay? This thing like that. It's just a dictionary. If I run that and I type here data, okay, then what do you see? It's not working. Huh? Why is it not working? I don't see my thing here. This is the guy. This is saying it's a markdown. It's not a code. Okay, this is a code. I have that. This is a markdown. So you have to turn it into a code. Okay, and you can do that by either opening up a new code. Okay, now when I get this, all I do is I just open up a new code like that and just take this and stick it in, Control C, Control V, and take this guy out. Okay, and boom, you have a list. Okay, we have a list, so we can say, hey, give me the data. Give me data, but give me just a name portion of data. Okay, like that, because there's a name portion of data. So let's see. VS Code is saying, hey, there's a problem. I don't know what it is because I didn't run it in the interactive mode. I only run it here. Okay, so remember, this interactive mode, we assign it to this guy. Okay, this IPython has its own, this guy has its own, oh, here, where's that? Yeah, this guy has his own interpreter. So if I want this guy to be aware of it, I have to highlight, right mouse click, go down, and run selection in a shift enter. Run
Want the interactive one, right? But it's
no, the interactive we'll put it in the bottom. And I mean it will open it in the terminal. You see, it says Python terminal. If you do this, it's going to open it in the terminal. And then you have to work in the terminal. I don't want to do that. I want interactive. So then two things you can do if you're not getting it is, remember, interactive is always linked to Python, not IPython. So if I have an IPython and I want the interactive, I have to come here and paste it. Okay, and then run that. So primarily, I have multiple dashboards. I can play here, play there, play there. Okay, and the cool thing is that I leave my working code intact and I can play around. This is like a sandbox. You know, I can just do things, and once I get it, I take the code and put it in my code, and then my code doesn't have all these junks in it. Okay, my junk will be in the interactive window, and then my actual code will be in the actual, or even in the file. So now I have data. Data is there. So what can I do? I can recycle, and I say, hey, give me data for, let's say I want data that has the name component of data. Okay, like that. I need a name component of data. And I've seen people use the double quote and the single quote. Either way, if you don't see a red thing, it's fine. Okay, so I've got this, I hit that, and I've got all the names. Okay, so this is a dictionary. But when I want to look at the data, it looks so ugly. And I'm used to working with Excel, and you're giving me this data. How can I get it so that the data looks like a real Excel file, row and column? And so that's what we're going to do here. We are now going to say, hey, you know what? Someone has written this code or this library. Let's go get it. Okay, so I go get it and I get it. If you get it and it errors, then what you do is you do something like you Google and say, Python, how do I install pandas? Just Google. And it will tell you that either use pip and you use install and then pandas, like that. Why am I doing this? Because actually, remember, this is a command and not, this is like a command that you execute in a terminal. Okay, and that is where the terminal comes handy. If I don't have a terminal, then I'll say escape to terminal, bang. Okay, the bang means escape to terminal. Okay, bang means escape to terminal. Okay, so if I escape to terminal, then I run it. In your case, don't run this because you may already have that. You only run it when you get an error. When it says, when I do something like import, okay, import William, okay, William as WM. And then I run it and I get, hey, I don't know any model. This is where you have to go and look and Google for William, a Python model called William, and the person who wrote it will tell you how to install it. Okay, so if I come down here and I go down to here, oh, sorry, I come down here and I go down to here, I go Google, and I say Python. You can even, or you can even go to python.org, python.org, and you have everything. And you can just like go to Microsoft website, and you can just say, we say what? Pandas. Okay? And you go bum, and if you find it, oh, pandas, if I can spell, there we go. It says this is what pandas does for data frame, and then you look. I mean, you install it, or you can just say install pandas. Most of these things are very smart. They would, if you don't find it, Google is always the place to go. And just say install pandas. There we go. And there we go. And it takes you through it. So this site here, most people will be sleeping on this site. Before, in fact, every month, I don't make, oh, sorry, I thought I already shipped this. I didn't ship that, sorry. Okay, I'm shipping this other one too. So every month I go to this site, at least I go here at least twice or 3 times, just to see what is there. Okay, release notes, just to see what is there, because you want to be, I mean, you want to be the cool guy that everyone comes to. You know, they'll say, hey, you know what? The code is not right. So, oh, yeah, go to Ashley. I mean, Ashley will know because you are up to date, you know, because they keep changing the versions of Python. And anytime they change it, they'll tell you what has changed. Okay. You can also come to the development side and say where to start, and it takes you through it. It gives you tons of examples that you can simply cut and paste. Just know that when you cut these 3 things here is that prompt from Python, right? So when you copy this, let's say you copy this, if for some reason those 3 things come in the way, then you have to be careful. Okay, so normally I just take the one with this colored one so that it doesn't pick those prompts. Okay, then when you come down here, oh, sorry, if I can get the VS Code here, good. So I just come to my window here. I create a new one. So I create a bump. This is MATLAB. This code is from MATLAB. I remember in MATLAB they call it a cell magic. Okay, so I come down here. I said import pandas as PD, and then I said show me the version. I copied it from the Panda site, assuming it was a code that I was looking for, and I got it. I just get this code. I copy. I come down here, Control V, run, and it tells me warning, blah blah blah. There we go. That's a version of pandas. Okay, so it's telling me, it gives me the version. It gives me a whole lot of things. It most likely will also give you the system on which it's been tested on, and what else can work best with it. Okay, so it's saying most people actually work. People who use pandas also make use of these other tools. Okay, so this is really very cool. This is really very cool. Just go to that site and you have everything. It will tell you how to install. And I think I'm running out of time. So let me just keep going. I think I'm running out. We haven't had the first.
At time, and you can go for maybe another 3 minutes. I think people can hang out for an extra cool. 5 minutes, but that's cool. All you have, and we'll have to continue next time.
Next week. Okay, cool. So now once you've read the data in memory, you're going to now do a display. Okay, so let's run this guy, Control C, and then we come down here, Control V. We're saying that, hey, you know what? The PD that we imported, bundle it around, or turn that data that looks so ugly that we are not interested, we don't want, turn it into another form. Okay, so now I turn this into another form like that, and now look at it. Okay, when you print, you have that. When you display, you have that. So you tell me this and that, which one you would like. Data. I think we call it data, right? Or data, yeah.
Yeah, we call it data.
Data, yeah. So if you run this, you have that. If I use someone's cool package, I've got that. So of course, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so let me just, we'll stop here. Okay, and I'm just going to show you, we didn't get to the 30 minutes. What I want you to do is I want you to do the code along. Okay, the code along says, in words, describe what is happening. So just do it at home and then come. And this is the Phil's 10 minutes intro Python. If you go through all this and you are able to say exactly what it is, that means you are ready for the next phase. If you're not, never mind. We'll come back and go through it. The last thing I wanted to, so next time we're going to start from here. But what I wanted to do is when you get home, I want you to try this thing here. Okay, this thing here is called the Python here. Here. This is a way in which you can learn Python online at your own pace. It shows you how to run Python code and what is happening. So remember the code that we had like a code, right? So you just hit edit, okay, and then you paste a code in here. So the one that I give you as a homework, tell me what is happening. This will be able to take you through. So now let's go and pick a code. We're going to pick a Python code, and then we're going to see what is actually happening. Let's see. I probably, there may be a better one up. Let me go up. I want the one with the if else. I want one with like an if else, simple. Yeah, something. Let's pick one. I had one, but then I think in my rush, since this is the first one, I'm not going to, let's say this guy. Okay, so we're taking this code here. The loop one. Let's take the loop one. So copy this. Copy this guy. Control C. And then go to the very end. Okay. In fact, what you could do, if you don't want to run it inside this because your cursor, your space is too small, you can just double click this and take this. It's called a Python tutorial. Okay, so take this guy, Control C, put it in a browser here, Control V, and then you hit enter, and you got that, and say edit, and paste that code we got in here. Oops.
I know.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think I thought I had it, but then
you messed it up when you recopied something
when I
else.
recopied, right. So let me just say I copy this. Let me just say I copy this, and then I bring this because I don't want to hold you guys up for long. Control A, Control V. Okay, so I find a code. Someone give me a code. I'm struggling with it. I don't know what to do. You paste that code here. Okay, Control plus will maximize it because this is just a browser. You say visualize, edit, visualize execution. If you visualize execution, you say next and see what's happening. And the reason I like this is that it's telling me the type. It's like me telling you what data types you have. You are seeing it yourself. So that line L, okay, so that defines a function. And you see that's what it's told you there. You hit next. Now it's defined a list. Okay, I know it's a list, but this is telling me clearly what is happening. And then I define another thing here. Let's run this. It says it's a map instance. It's an instance. It will not work until an instance is like lazy evaluation. It says I'm ready, call me, I'll do something when you call me. So I'm going to ask him to print the list. Okay, so next. And now you see that. So that is running through the list and printing it one at a time. Okay, that's what the instance is doing. You see that? You see that? You see that? Yeah, so this is telling me, even if I don't know what that map is doing, we'll cover it in the next class. What a map does is it takes a function, applies it to a list. And that's what is happening there. You see, even though we're on line 6, you see the function is called multiple times from line 6. and it's recycling through the list of variables. You see that? And then once it gets to the end, boom, print, and you get your output. Okay, so thank you all very much for this class. Sorry we didn't get a break, but we need to jump so that the next class, I think the next class will be much more engaging. But please go home, take your time, go through the material. Okay, if you see it like this, just click this. If you want to see what's behind it, click again. And okay, if you so I'll pass you over so that we don't run out of time.
Yeah, thank you very much, William. I think you've shown us what it takes. It's like wanting to lose weight and having the gym.
Exactly.
I think now we see the gym.
Yeah.
And our work is well cut out for us. And thank you everyone for also hanging in there. And yes, you are very welcome. I'm putting William's Coders Who Travel email also in the chat as you work through, as you go to the gym, the Python gym, and you have questions, feel free to reach out to him on there. And we appreciate, the hard work and the dedication that went into this presentation, William. So thank you. And this has been brought to you by Coders Who Travel, our Veterans Can Code series with guidance from Deloitte. And there are always multiple ways to give to us so that this program becomes sustainable. You don't have to be the one that does it, but if you know influential people, feel free to connect us to them and so that we can make this more sustainable. Until then, see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Richard agrees that is a gym.
Yeah, and trust me, it took me years and years of looking through and listening to people like myself. I have to go to conferences because the thing is you can't just pick a book. I mean, the books, you have a lot of books. I've got tons of books, but it's easier when you listen to people, you attend trainings, you attend conferences, and you try things out. I think that's a trick.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. And have a lovely weekend, everyone, the rest of the weekend, and see you on Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Afia.
You're welcome.